Okay, so in this video, we're going to talk about the knack. So what is the knack? The knack is the phrase that we use for getting a handle on when to use a pelvic floor muscle contraction, and how to incorporate that into your daily life. To further unpack the conversation that we had as far as what a Kegel is, we want to build upon habit formation by use of the knack. So as far as the knack goes, following surgery, the best way to control your incontinence following surgery is going to be an exhalation, so followed by a nuts to guts, or depending on where you are on that front to back sequence, a nuts to guts following exhalation, so nuts to guts, then move. We see this most felt in things such as going to sit up, where you're leaning forward, pressure increases in the abdomen, which we're going to talk a little bit more in scientific terms next video, but that pressure increase in the abdomen pushes down on the bladder, and if it's not being met with that pelvic floor contraction, then you're going to get leakage. So the knack on the front end of this is exclusively centered around habit formation. I've had conversation after conversation with men in the clinic who have just had their surgery, and I'm seeing them for the first time not having started the program prior to their surgery, and they're super frustrated because they're having leakage every time they move. And this kind of goes back to that original conversation of Kegels should not be performed in silos. It should not, the conversation and the ideology here should not be you as a man doing Kegels prior or after this surgery is going to get you to where you want to go by explicitly doing an exercise and not applying it to everyday life. So the knack is our initial step in creating that habit where you're performing a Kegel before you do most things. It could be really anything. It could be reaching, it could be lifting, it could be going from a sit to a stand. We talked about it in the other video. Think of anything that you potentially have trouble with as we move down this program where you feel like you can do a front to back Kegel hold, let's say in side lying, but you have trouble doing it in sitting. Therefore you have trouble doing it in sitting. Therefore you have trouble doing the knack before you initiate a stand up out of the chair. Following surgery, that's probably going to be a problem point, and you're probably going to have leakage doing that if we don't get you to the point where that's not a problem, right? So in this instance, going back to the metaphor of practice versus game time, practice would be doing more Kegels on your side because in that position you have a better feel for it. Game time would be now applying that same Kegel contraction to going from sitting to standing and building that habit every time you do it thereafter, right? So let's think of internal cues for the knack. The internal cues for the knack are saying here is blow as you go. So exhale, get all your air out. You're decreasing that pressure in the belly, and then you're moving, right? The blow as you go followed by the nuts to guts is going to be the easiest way to do that and to feel that and to use those appropriate muscles prior to initiating movement. A famous quote from one of my patients is, the horse is out of the barn, right? When the horse is out of the barn, it's too late, right? So when the urine has made its way out of the bladder into the urethra, there's a point where it's like a point of no return, where if you clasp with your pelvic floor muscles to grip the urethra, urine has already gone past that gripping point, and now you're going to have that leakage, right? So exhalation, blow as you go. Strong exhale, empty the abdomen, feel yourself release that pressure out with your breath. Simultaneously, nuts to guts, stand up. Nuts to guts, reach. Nuts to guts, turn around. Nuts to guts, get in and out of the car. Where I'm gonna hammer this as far as tasks and reminders, but this is something that you need to hold on to in your mind as a basis of everything else we're gonna build on from here. That is the KNACK.